All right. So before we wrap up, which I think that's a good note to move on to, you asking me anything that you have in your burning desires to ask, even though you interviewed me a few months ago.
Well, I did want to talk to you a bit. Okay, so you said like you felt a little ick about the recent decision to say that they are. Correct me if I'm wrong. They said that they are now a union, or wait, what was the wording exactly?
No. So there was, so a year and a half ago, I filed a claim with the National Labor Relations Board that was saying that I believe we were misclassified and we should have been classified by employees, and here's why. So when you're a contractor, contractors have autonomy over themselves, the jobs they take. They're independent of any business telling them what to do or what they make or whatever. They get to make those decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Employees have, but contractors are not protected by labor law because
Right.
they get to pick and choose because
Right.
they're independent. When you're
Pros and cons. I got you.
right, so then when you're an employee, which is really determined by how much control they have over you, how much you get paid, what work you do, when you work, where you work, all of that stuff. You're protected by labor laws, so you can, guaranteed a minimum wage. You get overtime if you're hourly. You get to talk about your working environment publicly. You get to organize into unions if you want to. Like, those are all protected by federal law. So the way reality TV has done things is they've classified cast members as contractors, but their actions.
They tell you when you're going to be there. They tell you all the things that you have to do. So your argument is they should be employees.
Yes. And then you should get that pay. You should have the ability to unionize. And then what they do is they threaten you with legal action, or they, sue Renee Poche for $4 million because she was speaking about her experience. And in the reality, you're talking about your working environment. You're allowed to do that, and that's protected by law from retaliation. So
Right.
They did a 1.5 year long investigation and determined that Love is Blind cast members are actually employees. Right now it's just Love is Blind are actually employees, and that they need to immediately eliminate these unlawful provisions in the contract that are anti-employee. They've listed them out. It's like a 36-page document in total. And now they're going to have to settle with us and the National Labor Relations Board by April of next year, or this is going to go in front of a judge. And
no one wants that.
Well, no, I don't think they want that.
No,
and
not at all.
The reason is because the way that their provisions and everything, and you're an employee here, and you're a contractor here, but we gave you a W-2 because we were in California, and legally in California, they had to give us a W-2 because by California labor law, we were employees, but they tell us in our contracts that we're contractors. But then you issue a W-2, which is proof that someone's an employee. Like, it's crazy the circles that they work around to maintain the status quo. So I am dying to know how they defend this without proof. You can defend one provision without proving another one. So it's
Right.
it's very interesting. But what this really does, and I have some content I want to put on it, but what this really does is this lifts sort of the NDAs out of everyone from Love is Blind, and they can freely talk about their experience. And we can actually start unionization efforts of these casts, because right now, like, this is deemed unlawful behavior by the production companies. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but this is the first time that the National Labor Relations Board has ever dipped anything labor into the reality TV space. And it has an opportunity to change everything in the landscape, but it's also got the opportunity to set precedents for other shows. And I know that through the UCAN Foundation, there are other shows that we've helped follow this same process. So this is a lot, but the ick factor, to get back to what you said, if I'm being honest, it's very hard for me to keep myself in the Love is Blind world, in the reality TV world. I am forever attached to it. I'm forever attached to my ex-wife. Every 6 months, a new season comes out. Every 6 months, I have to thrust myself into all the headlines, who's together, who's not, and constantly get reminded of what my experience was like and all of the struggles that came with it. And so that's normal. Now with this work I'm doing with UCAN, and even this, like, I'm reading the New York Times article about it, and of course it talks about my relationship from Love Is Blind. So it's constantly in your face. And when people in a non-public relationship decide that something isn't going to work, or they get a divorce, or they end a relationship,
It's over.
it's over. You can block the person. You never have to see them. Out of sight, out of mind, which is how I've always dealt with a breakup. It's always out of sight, out of mind. I get rid of the phone number. I get rid of the social media. I delete the photos, not all of them, but nonsense. I don't want the memories coming up on my phone. I cut it off. And that's it, because it's out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to know what they're doing. I don't want to know who they're dating. I don't want to, see pictures of us together. I just, that's how I heal. So every time something happens, or I find, and I mute everything on social media as much as I can, but it still trickles through. People still want to tell me, they want to DM me. They don't, and it's not malicious. It's just, so it's the ick comes from, this is another thing that drags me into this place that messed up my life and hurt me so much that I've got to go back into it. And each time I get a little bit tougher, but it gets to the point where it gets to me sometimes. So, reading the article, the paragraph about my relationship, like, it just, oh God, it's just like a reminder. It's the ick of like, oh, it's like a pit in my stomach kind of thing. But I know that the work is so important, and I'm so proud of everyone at UCAN and everyone who's stepped up to be a trailblazer in this. And we just made change like this. There is no going back here from this. So we just made change. It's too big of a
show to like shut down. So like they just have to adapt at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think they'll fight it. They might fight it all the way to the Supreme Court. Who knows? It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, you say that, but like that's going to cause more harm. I feel like that's going to cause more press and more conversation. I feel like at this point, it's in their best interest. And I'm not a legal expert by any means, but like to me, it's like let's just pay these people, adapt it where we can, and move on.
But that's part of the problem with reality TV is it's so cheap because they don't have to follow rules. They don't have to follow laws. They don't have to pay people.
I mean, to be fair, I think like Love Is Blind is a little different. Like I'm not even someone who watches that type of stuff, but I'm aware of all of it.
Oh yeah, it's the most popular reality show
by a mile. And so to me, like I could see we're a world where we're not developing new shows because it's like we have to put more intentionality behind it. Because to your point, it's not as cheap to create anymore. But like Love Is Blind is a behemoth. They're not going to just shut that down all of a sudden because they have to pay more money because they know the ROI is still there. It may not be as good as it once was.
Yeah, they have to pay more money, yes, but then they can't shoot for 18 hours a day. So now you're looking at like the content, the paying, the way you can't keep under wraps all of the shit they do to people. Like people can talk about it now, so they're going to have to clean up their behaviors or be completely exposed. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people out there that have had far worse things happen to them than the people that have spoken up in a lot of cases. And when those people are freed and the gag is out, people are going to be shocked at the amount of people that have been severely psychologically, physically harmed and aren't able to speak anything because they're scared of getting sued. So it's going to be, I'm here for it. And I am just proud of everyone who's stepped up and helped make this move. This is real change. It's like fundamental real change.
It really is. Like, and again, like as someone who's like passively aware of it, like even to me, like I'm always going to be pro the people. I don't care what your industry is. I'm very pro the people. Like when it comes to that. So like, you know what, if this is some way that people are being mistreated, like I'm rooting for those people to get the best out of it that they possibly can. But to your point, like if they can rule that way, then like, yeah, like it's either deal with it or keep fighting it out in court. And that's just going to be that much more public embarrassment for them. That's why I think like it's been their best interest to like walk away and call it a day.
I think so too. I don't think they will, at least not yet, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Well, maybe they're going to cut you all a fat check to be quiet, and then they can keep doing what they were doing.
So I don't know if they can do that.
I don't know.
I
I think they can do anything. It's just a matter of not they'll get away with it.
well, right. Well, now that it's like sitting with the National Labor Relations Board and in the court system, I don't know. But like, hey, I actually, someone asked me a while ago, like when I first started doing this, would you take like a payoff?
Sure.
And I was like, no, because I can't be bought. And then I was like, but $5 million might change that.
Oh, okay, so that's a personal belief that I have always had about life. Is we all look. We could have a whole separate conversation about whether or not money should matter and all these different things. Happy to have that conversation. Nonetheless, the world that exists today, money does matter, and I don't care what your beliefs are. For the most part, like I'm not gonna end someone's life, right, for money. Like that's a line I can't cross. But outside of the truly heinous things that are out there in the world, there's probably a number for everything for me. And there's even more of a number when you put actual cash literally in front of me. Because we can all say, oh, I wouldn't do that for this amount of money. But then that's easy to say when you're just talking at a bar with your friends. It's another thing when someone literally hands you the cash right in front of your face.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, $5 million, that's...
Now. I'm not taking money now. I'm taking this as far as it needs to go. But before, I might have taken the money. I would have entertained the conversation. I hate that I have so much conviction about stuff sometimes, and pride. I have a lot of pride. Sometimes, there's a reason that's one of the 7 deadly sins, right? But it to me right now, it's about doing the right thing, and it isn't about me. It's never really been about me. It's been about, I don't want this to happen to other people. I can take it. I don't want other people to have to take it. And so to me now, it's about conviction. Thank you for listening to this clip from the full episode of Eyes Wide Open. Please like and subscribe for daily clips and new episodes that drop every Tuesday. I appreciate you.